Hello, my amazing musicians! Welcome back to music class. Well, what am I wearing, you ask? Well, this week we are studying all about jazz. Jazz is a form of music that was made in the 1920s, and this is a type of outfit that they might have worn in the 1920s. Let's look at a few more outfits. Now, I know you may be asking, Miss Staci, what is jazz music? Well, that's a very good question. According to kidssearch.com, jazz started in the United States in the 1920s. A long time ago. Jazz music was influenced by the music of African slaves who were taken from Africa to work on the plantations in the southern United States. They started a lot of different types of styles of music, including call and response songs and blues, which we'll talk about next week. There have been different types of jazz all through time. In the 1920s, it was called New Orleans jazz, or Dixieland jazz was also popular. In the 1930s, there was swing jazz, and we also called that big band. Now, I wonder what kind of instruments are in a jazz ensemble? Well, that's a very good question. Let's see, there were saxophones, there are trumpets, there are pianos, there are trombones, there are double basses, and there are drums. Sometimes you even have some electric guitars and other types of instruments that come in as well. One popular dance that was done in the 1920s was the Charleston. The Charleston. Here are the basic steps to the Charleston.
1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Heels go in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
jazz song? What makes it jazzy? Well, according to makingmusicfun.net, there are three main things that make it jazzy. First one is the types of rhythms that are used in our jazz music. In most classical music, it's where we clap, or the beat is on 1 and 3, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. In jazz music, the emphasis falls on 2 and 4 instead. So it sounds like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We also call that syncopation. All right, so that's the first thing, is our rhythms. The second thing that helps us know that it's jazz music is that it's more of a conversation that happens back and forth between the instruments on the stage. So the jazz musicians start by playing a song that they all know, and then they kind of stop and they talk to each other, but they don't talk like this. The trumpet player doesn't say, "Hey, that pizza was delicious." And then the piano player doesn't say, "Yeah, man, that was delicious." And then the trumpet player doesn't say back, "Delicious and hot." They converse, they talk to each other using their instruments. So the trumpet player might say, and the drummer's like, huh, and the drummer's like, so they talk back and forth with each other using their instruments and having conversations. And that's another reason why we go and see jazz shows live, because every time they do it, it's a little bit different. What's really cool is after they finish having their little conversations back and forth, for jazz music, it's okay to clap, even if they're still playing, because we want to tell them we really liked that little conversation that they just had. So jazz music is one of those rare types of music where you're allowed to clap, even if the song is not over yet. So that's the conversation part. The third way that we know that it's jazz music is that it has a lot of improvisation. Improvisation is a really fancy way of saying that they're making things up as they go along. So jazz musicians have to be super spontaneous and be able to think on their feet and know a whole lot about different types of jazz sounds in order to make things up as they go. So they're composing it. Remember when we were composers? They're composing it as they're on the stage, which is a little bit scary, but it's going to be part of our task for today. There are two very famous jazz singers. One of them is a lady, and her name was Ella Fitzgerald. And the other one is a man, and his name was Mel Torme. Now, they do a lot of improvisation with each other in this clip that you're about to see, back and forth. But instead of using instruments, they are going to improvise doing something called scat singing. wonderful way for our vocalists, our singers, remember last week we learned all about our singers, to pretend to be instruments. So they listen to the sounds the instruments make and they can mimic them. Watch this little clip and it will explain a little bit more about scat singing.
The singer will use all kinds of different syllables to improvise on the melody, which helps the singer sound like many different kind of instruments.
In the early days of jazz, instrumentalists often tried to imitate the sounds of the human voice by bending, scooping, and sliding notes. Similarly, vocalists borrowed improvisatory techniques from instrumentalists. You might use certain syllables to recreate certain sounds, such as a trumpet player using a plunger mute.
Wah, 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 wah.
Or a trombone sliding into a note. Or get real low down and dirty like the bass.
Dong, dong, ding, 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 dong, ding, dong.
You need to hear what the band is doing and communicate with them throughout your solo in order to play with them rather than you just soloing in front of a band.
The truth is told that the greatest of all was Louis Armstrong. He was able to combine genius and a whole new way of singing, which created a whole singing style and influenced everybody. All kinds of jazz musicians wanted to sound like him. The other ones we have, of course, is the great genius Jon Hendricks and
Ella Fitzgerald.
Somewhere there's heaven, it's where you are. Somewhere there's music, how near, how far.
First to make up a word that you never heard. Then you set it to a beat that makes you tap your feet. Then you do it again till you don't know when. Then you put on a hat and you start to scat. You make up a word you never heard. You set it to a beat that makes you tap your feet. You do it again till you don't know when. You put on a hat and you start to scat. I said, hey, Dabba Rudy.
Hey, Dabba Rudy.
With a squeeze dial.
With a squeeze dial.
I said, hey, Dabba Rudy.
Hey, Dabba Rudy.
With a squeeze dial.
With a squeeze dial.
Hey, Dabba Rudy 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 with a squeeze dial.
Hey,
Hey,
squeeze,
squeeze,
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 hey,
hey,
squeeze.
squeeze.
Hey, Dabba Rudy with a squeeze dial. Hey, Dabba Rudy with a squeeze dial. Hey, Dabba Rudy with a squeeze dial. Hey, Dabba Rudy with a squeeze dial.
Your job this week, my little jazz musicians, is to come up with your own scat singing song. So I have an example that I'm going to put at the end of this, and you can just sing along with it. Or if you want to, you can scat on your own, record it, and upload it into our Teams. Remember, you can upload it here in Teams, or you can send it to my email, pendrys@duvalschools.org.
We'll choose a letter and sing it. Here we go now. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Now we've sung the alphabet one more time before we scat. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Now we've sung the alphabet. All you've got to do is scat. Say A, A, A. A, A, A. B, B, B. B, B, B. C, C, C. C, C, C. D, D, D. D, D, D. Now let's try putting some letters together. Bop, bop, bop. Bop, bop, bop. boogity ba.
Dwa boogity ba.
Shooba dooba dee ba.
Dooba dooba dee ba. Doo-wah. Beep-ba-ba, ba-dee-ba-ba. Beep-ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba.
All right, my little musicians, have fun, enjoy it, and I can't wait to see your videos. This has been Music Time with Ms Staci. I miss you, I love you, and I will see you soon.